Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In last video, I have explained you how to get a free access to Jira, and also I explained you with how to create your first project in Jira. Okay. So in this video, I will explain you how to create a user stories and how we can move these user stories from backlog to active sprint or in a sprint, and also I will explain you how to create a user stories in a Jira board. Okay, so let's get started. So whenever we are start putting this user stories in a board, so we will be having a requirement document. Okay, so the requirement document will looks like this. So I have a requirement document to for to development of loan application. So in the loan application, we will be using the our first project Jira board to create a user stories which are related to loan application. Okay. So when we talk about Jira, so we should understand we should understand about Epic and user stories. So so we'll understand first what is Epic. Epic is a high level business goal or a larger feature that can be broken into a smaller requirement or a manageable user stories. So let us consider we have a user stories which is related to user registration and authentication. So it's a bigger requirement. Okay. So when we talk about this user registration and authentication, so first thing we have to create a registration page. So after registration page, there will be APIs where validating the user authentication. So that is another set of requirement, a small requirement. Then once that is authentication is done, so the user will be logging into the page where will be showing the login logged in page. Okay. So these are like small pieces, but combined together, that requirement is called epic. Okay. So if you see here, the we have a epic called user registration and authentication. So then this particular big block or a requirement is divided into multiple user stories. Okay. So which is again, if you talk about user stories, we have user stories one, that is user registration is a one requirement. Then after that user login page. So user login, that is the second user stories. Then again the third user stories will be forget password. Okay. So these three combined user stories we will be having a epic one. Okay. Similar way, when we talk about epic 2, so again the loan application form uh, is a one of the epic. Okay. So under this one, so we'll be having a user stories, so which is a loan type selection, then application detail entry, then loan detail input, document upload. These all are the piece of user stories which comes under loan application form. Okay. Similar way, so I have created a multiple epics. So I have epic 3, epic 4, and epic 5. There are many epics we will be having. It's a completely purely depends upon the requirement. If your requirement is big, then you will be having a more epics. For one epic there will be a multiple user stories will be mapped. Okay. So I will explain you how we can create a epic in a storyboard, then how we can map that epic to user stories. So that I will explain you in in Jira board. Okay. Now I shifted to Jira board. We will be having here first project board. So under the first project board, when we go here in the backlog we will be creating a stories. Okay. So first we will understand our requirement. So we'll see how many user stories we have in our document. So if you see our document, we have around 20 user stories. Okay, so 20 user stories we have, and we have how many epics? We have um, around seven epics we have. Okay, so 20 user stories are mapped to seven epics. Okay, then let's consider we will as part of our development life cycle. So we will understand, we think like our, so we have based upon our development capacity, we will divide so these user stories, something like in each sprint, let's consider we'll develop a five user stories. Okay, so when we try to achieve these five user stories development, that is nothing but in one sprint we will be having a five user stories. Okay, so five user stories means how many sprint will be having? Four sprint. Okay, and each sprint we will give as a 2 week sprint. Okay, so that is what I'll be doing it now. So I'll be creating a sprint first. So I'll name it as sprint one. Okay, and so I'll create a sprint two. So we have around 20 user stories. So for okay. So let me create again. This we have a Scrum sprint one. So okay. So if you see here under the backlog, so we have option to create a sprint. Okay. So when you click on this one, so second sprint got created. So we have already sprint one. So and sprint two is got created. Similar way, we need a four sprint to complete our development. Okay. Yeah, so the four sprint got created here. Okay, I'll just minimize it. Sprint one, sprint two, and sprint four development is four sprint got created. Then we have a one more is backlog. Okay, so what we'll do, so we'll create our user stories in a backlog and we'll map it to Epic. To do that, so we have to create a user story. Okay, so first I'll go to document. So our first user story is, so which is um, user registration. Okay, I'll go back and I'll create under the backlog. Okay, so first user story created, and then second user story, which is login username, login user ID. So user login that is created, second user story, and third user story, also got created. Then let me go to fourth one. So I have created all 20 user stories here. So if you see here, our Jira number and followed by user story description. So all I by referring our requirement document, I have created all 20 user stories. Okay. So now I explain you how we can map this epic. Okay. So if you see our document, I'll go up. The story number one, two, three, all three are belongs to epic one. Okay, so first we'll create epic now. So after epic creation, so we will map that epic to the user stories. So for that, if you see here, we have a epic here, the option. So we have to click on create epic. So it's epic. um, then the status will be to do, and we have to give the summary. Okay, so our epic number is first epic is user registration and authentication. So I'll just give the our first epic. Then um, then we can assign to a team or due date and start date, and in which is particular sprint will be covering this epic. Those all things we have to mention, but it is fine. So will create it now and map it to the user stories. Okay. done. So similar way, I'll create other epics as well. So I have created all the epics. So if you see here, if you go here, there is an option show all the epic here. If you see, so here you can see all the epics which I created. So epic 1, epic 2, epic 3, epic 4 and 5, and there are total 7 epics in our requirement. Okay. So now we will map these epics to our user stories. So how will be doing it? Just particularly open this particular user stories. So when you open this particular user story, then here you will get an option to add a epic. So here in the top of user story, or you can click on right click and open it here in the new tab. So here you will get a add epic. So when you click on add epic, so you will get an option to map it to particular epic. This user story, this user story one is belongs to our first epic, which is user registration and authentication. So just done. Okay, done. When you go back, right, our board. So if you repress, then you can see here uh, in our epic. So here under this one, in users in epic number one. So here you can see user stories. So 1 minute, view detail. Yeah, here you can see the user story one. Okay, which is user story six number. The user story six is belongs to epic number one. Okay, similar way I'll do for two. So user story two. I click on this particular user story. So here we have option to add epic. Then it comes under user registration. Done. Okay. So and also the forgot password comes under epic number one. So just click on add epic and registration. Okay. So similar way, this loan type selection is comes under loan. It comes under epic 2. So which is the loan form. Okay, done. Okay, similarly, I will map all the user stories to a epic. Okay, I have completed the mapping. So if you see here, mm, so our user stories show epics. So when you click on this one, so we have planned something our user stories. So our software development contains the 7 epics. Our application requirement will be divided into 7 larger piece of requirement. Under that, so we have a user stories. So in Epic 1, so it contains 3 user stories, and Epic 2 again it contains 3 user stories. Epic 3 it contains 3 user stories. Epic 4 contains uh, Epic 4 when you click on view, so it contains again 3 user stories. Similarly, Epic 5 also have some user stories and 6 and 7. Okay. So our user stories is mapped to a specific, epic. Okay. So now if you see, all our user stories are there under the backlogs. Okay. Um, so here, if you see in the summary, there are 27 work item. That is nothing but, so there are 20 user stories and 7 epics we need to complete it. Okay. So this is what it is there. Okay. And now, mm, so if you see our user stories are, um, these are all are under the backlog. Okay. So now we will move our user stories in a sprint. Okay. So we decided initially, move develop 5 user stories in a sprint. So I'll move our user stories. So user story one, to from the backlog, I am moving to at sprint. Okay, in sprint one. So there are each sprint we are gonna develop 5 user stories. So that's the reason I'm moving 5 user stories in a sprint. In sprint one contains 5 user stories. Okay, that's done. So in sprint two, so again we will be moving 5 more user stories. So in sprint two, we'll plan for 5 user stories. Um, yeah, same thing. 3 user stories done. Okay, now in sprint 2 also I moved 5 stories. Then again in sprint 3, we'll plan for 5 story development. The fourth one and last one. Okay. And we have a fourth sprint, which is the last sprint. So I'll move it, all user stories. Okay. So these all are 4 sprints are, development sprint. So apart from that, we can have a UAT sprint and testing sprint. So for that, I'll create a 2 more sprint. We say that which is a sprint, fifth sprint. Okay, which I will name it as. I'll edit it. So it's a fifth sprint is a UAT. So UAT testing sprint. Then again, the last one we can say we'll be having. So it's a production preparation sprint 6, which is a prod ready. Okay, sprint where once the all the development is completed, all testing is completed. Testing will be done during the sprint during the development. So apart from that, we'll be having UAT sprint where UAT user will be testing and production ready sprint. So where we'll be make our code for production ready. Okay, there are total there are 6 sprint we have planned for our application, which is loan application. Okay, so now our sprints are ready, our user story is also ready. Okay, then I will be I'll be and up before that, right? So we will be opening user. I'll explain you how we can add user story requirement under the user story. Okay, acceptance requirement. Okay, I'll just open user story 6. So here, okay, when you click on these user stories, so we will be if you see here, we will be having a description. So in description, we have to add the requirement. So what is our first user story we see? So I'll go back to the requirement document here. If you see our, so we need a new customer. I want to create a account using my email address and mobile number so that I can apply for a loan. So acceptance criteria. So user can register with email address or mobile number and OTP generation and password must meet a security standard. So this is a requirement we have. So I'll copy this particular requirement. I'll go back to user story. So which is user story number 1. So user story number 1 under that. So I'll mention the acceptance criteria. Okay, and click on save it. Okay. Then after that, so if you see, we need to assign this particular user story to the developer. Okay, so who will be developing this particular user story? So I'll just assign it to Sharon P. So that is a user who will be developing it, and parallel you can see it is assigned to Sharon P here. Okay, and what is the priority of this particular ticket? So I'll keep it as highest. So the first user story we need to develop it. So so this will be our first user story will be developing as part of our sprint. So okay, then similar way I'll go to another user story, assign it here. I'll click on here and assign it uh, to Sharon P. The on the only one user we have. So that is the reason I'm assigning to one user. So in real time, so we'll be assigning to the multiple developers. Okay. So and also we'll be updating AC to other user stories. So I'll just click on second user stories. I'll go back. I'll just copy AC acceptance criteria and I'll update it. Okay. So the AC got updated. Similar way, we have to do it for all the user stories which are planned in a sprint. Okay. Or anything user stories are under the backlog. So we have to update the AC. Okay. So AC is done, user story is ready. So it's again moved to a sprint. The last thing is last point is pending is, so we have to start the sprint. So we have already assigned a work to the user. So now user that is nothing but developer has to start work on this particular user stories. So for that, so we have to start the sprint. Okay. So the sprint here we have a when you go here there is a option called start sprint here. Okay, when you click on this particular option, so it asks you to give a name and how much duration will be your sprint. Okay, so if you see it is a 2 week sprint I am giving it. Normally we'll be giving a 2 weeks. So there will be some rare scenarios there will be 1 week sprint, and 2 week is a generic we'll be using it, and there are some 3 week sprint also will be there. Okay, I'll give a only 2 week sprint. Okay, and we have to give a sprint goal. Okay, so we will be working on registration form development. And okay, so this is a goal for our sprint. So you can give any customized goal for this particular sprint and click on start. Okay, when it is started, when you click on started, you can here you can see the user stories are comes under to do column. So the sprint, the currently this is the sprint is active, and for this under this particular sprint one we have a 5 user stories. Okay, so 5 user stories under the to do. Okay, that is nothing but work is not yet started. So so if work gets started, right, so we can move these user stories from to do column to in progress. So how we'll be moving? Just a drag and drop. Okay, so I just drag and drop all the user stories. Okay, I am the developer, so I moved all user stories in progress column. So okay. So once the user developer starts working on it, all developer has completed user stories development, and then we have to move this particular user story into in review. Okay, in review, what happens? Will be our peer developers or architect. So he will be reviewing our code, and he will give a approval saying that your code is as per the standards, so you can go ahead and deploy it in a test environment. Okay, so then once the review is completed, so we will move this particular user stories to testing. Okay, where testing team will be testing it. Okay, so once the testing is done, so we'll move user stories to done. The testing team will move user story to done. Okay, similar way, other user stories as well. So it moved to in review, then testing, then done. Okay, so let me move all user stories from in review to test to done. So once all the user stories are completed, okay, so let's consider we have a 2 week sprint. Then we have our developers have worked on this user story for 2 weeks, and they have deployed the code to testing, and testing team they have tested the user stories. Then they given us they moved all the user stories to done. Okay, saying that everything is working fine. Okay, then what happens? So next thing is, once everything is completed, we'll be completing the sprint. Okay, so here if you see, so all are under the done column. So we will be having an option to mark this particular sprint to completed. So to complete this particular sprint, we have an option here, complete a sprint. Okay, So when you click on this one, you will get an option to complete a sprint. Okay. So this is saying that so we have completed all the user stories, then complete it. Okay, done. So if you see here, from out of six sprint, our sprint is disappeared here. Okay, right? That is nothing but we have completed sprint one. Okay, so now what happens after completion of sprint one? So we have to start sprint two. So for that, again, click on sprint, start sprint. So it's a 2 week sprint, then click start. Okay, then if you see, so sprint two is got started now. Okay, so to trace our, how much we have completed, uh, how much development we have completed. So you can shift quickly on overview or a summary. So here, if you see, so what happened to this particular board? So here we have a 27 items. Out of that, uh, 5 items has completed, until 22 items has to be to do columns. So that is nothing but our 19% of project is completed. Still, there are many more work to complete it. Okay, and here how much is completed, everything detail you can see in the table of columns. Okay, so how many tickets are high priority, medium priority, all those details will be displayed under the summary column. So this is kind of like reporting, which will helpful for the managers. Okay, so I think whatever I have explained related to Jira board, which is clear, and let me know if you have any queries in the chat box. Thank you for this. Thank you for watching this video. See you in next video. Thank you so much.